everyone, it's Lolly, and today I have some comparison on crafting glues for you. Obviously this isn't all of the crafting glues there are. I'll show you what I am looking at today. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because most of you know that I have been a very big fan of E6000 for years. I've used it for about 20 years. There are some concerns with using it, and others have several times advised me on other glues that I should try, and so I usually try to buy those glues and give them a workout to see what I think of them. And I'm not using these adhesives for paper. When I use paper adhesive, I usually use the Scotch Quick Dry adhesive. Very fond of this, and I also use my ATG, which is the Advanced Tape Glider by Scotch. Very fond of that. But I'm looking at some wet craft glues that you can use for paper clips and other hard surfaces like that you really want a good bond on. So the first one I'm looking at is hot glue, and what I did was, it's been 4 hours now since I did this. I had an old ruler and I just glued paper clips along this. Obviously it's not a very scientific experiment because there are many factors involved in it, but I did use hot glue on the first one. One of the benefits of hot glue is that it's so quick. You squirt the glue on, put your paper clip in there, and it's basically ready to go in just not even a minute. And it's more affordable than some of the other glues, and it doesn't smell. You may have a mess with glue strings. One of the other problems with it, though, is that you can burn yourself, and it's also not very permanent. I mean, I did not even work hard to pull that off of there, and then it comes right off the wood, too. So this is my biggest problem with hot glue gun. It works really quickly, you have a great design, but then you go and mail this to your swap partner and it comes apart in 5 different pieces in your envelope and they have to reassemble it. So, I mean, it can be helpful, but for paper clips and for metallic objects, hot glue is not my favorite. E6000 is a permanent jewelry, I always used to call it jewelry glue, I'm sorry. E6000 is a permanent glue. It can be pricey, usually about $4 or $5 per tube. This is 2 ounces. It's more of a gelatinous substance. It can be wasteful because as soon as you open that cap, it just starts gushing out everywhere, and you have to be prepared. So I always have it on a piece of paper. I collect it on the paper, then sometimes I use a toothpick to apply it, and also it's hard to get a real precise tip unless you use a toothpick to apply it. Also, the smell is one of the biggest concerns most people have. It's toxic. You do need to use it in a very well ventilated area, and still some people get headaches from it, so be warned about that. But it is super permanent. You can glue things to a mirror with this substance. So it does also take a longer time to dry than hot glue. I mean, I usually affix it and hold it for just about 30 seconds and then set my object down and let it dry for about 20 minutes before I try to pick it up and use it for anything. So that's some of the things about E6000. Now, someone in our paperclip group had recommended Loctite to me, and here's what that looks like. Loctite super glue. As for smell, how it compares to the E6000, there still is an odor. I don't think it's as bad, but it smells just like crazy glue. So if you are okay with crazy glue, you'll be okay with this. It's a really nice applicator tip. You twist this off, and when you apply it, let's see if I can find a piece of scrap paper here. You squeeze these 2 blue sides, and you can get a very precise little dot there. If you can see that, that is really tiny. Can you see that? And because of this, I have really become fond of this. It seals well. But with that tiny little dot, I've been able to save so much glue. This was, I'm thinking, about $4 maybe, and it's only 0.14 ounces, which is way less than this, but you will waste far less on this. Also, it stays vertical with nice base on the bottom there. I really like that. And, oh, here's the E6000 clip. Now, I really had to pull hard to get that off of there. And notice I just put glue on and set the clips on them. I did not cover glue on the top or glue a button on like I would if I were making a paper clip creation. So once you've sandwiched your clip in between 2 objects and glued it to both, it usually doesn't come out. Loctite, that was harder to pull off for me than the E6000 was. Now, the next glue that I was advised to try was Crafter's Pick. It says, the glue that sticks, the ultimate, only non-toxic, water-based super glue, adheres to metals, plastic, glass, and more, dries clear. Well, you can see as far as drying clear, if you can see this white right there, This has been drying for 4 hours now, and it's still gooey and can still be moved around really too easily. This one, in my experience in the past, took 24 hours to dry and still was not permanent. So I am not going to be using this on metal. I'm going to use it for my paper projects, and that's it. Paper or felt. The next one is Diamond Glaze. Basically, if you're not familiar with this, it's by Judikins. It's basically the same thing as glossy accents. It says dimensional adhesive. It's clear, and it works the same way. This one, okay, comes off a little easier than the E6000 and Loctite, but it stayed better than the Crafter's Pick or the hot glue for sure. And so one of the things that you can do if you're concerned about odors and you want a good bond, I have done this before, where I would take, like my E6000 or my Loctite, I would do most of the glue that I needed, take a hot glue gun and do 1 dot of hot glue, put that down into the hot glue and the other glue as well, and the hot glue would hold the paper clip long enough for the other glue to set without me having to sit there and hold it like this. You know, if you ever try to glue something and it's a really difficult project and you're holding it for a long time. Others have said that they have used hot glue and immediately used their glossy accents or diamond glaze on it and affixed their projects, and it seems to last pretty well. I have no experience with this myself, so I'm only telling you what I've heard. But so far, I still keep coming back to E6000 and that Loctite, and I'm using diamond glaze for the more and more projects than I did in the past. And while I have you here, I want to show you a new little tip that I discovered. Many of the times the projects, oh, and I want to show you this too, I'm sorry. This is a Loctite project right here. It's like a resin piece. It's like a little Minnie Mouse donut shape. And I did this with Loctite, and it is really on there. So it is not coming off, unlike the one you saw coming off of the ruler here. And by the way, now that I'm looking at this, what the Loctite did was it actually tore the ruler off. That's what it did. It tore the wood veneer off the ruler, so that glue held tight. So I'm really impressed with that. But anyway, sometimes if you have something like this where you have your project is rather round, and so when I glue a paper clip on it, I can't lay it on the table because it won't lay flat and the paper clip keeps sliding off. So I've taken a tray here and just filled it with rice. And so because of that, it will absorb the round shape of anything that I'm putting down in there, and it can lay flat and the paper clip can lay flat. And that's how I dry several pieces all at once, so I'm not holding them for a long time. So if you have a bumpy project and you don't want to hold them, just let the rice do the job. It works really well. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions about glues, and especially if you have any glue suggestions for me, I am willing to give them a try. Thank you so much for watching and for tuning in. I hope that you will like and subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.